Hello everyone, Brad Johnson here, and in this video I'm going to be bringing in Adronis, and Adronis is going to be talking about the grace period in between incarnations. Through the aspects as you understand incarnation to be. These again all just represent different aspects, degrees, constants, perspectives that exist here and now. Really, when you're looking beyond the aspect of linear time, of linear space, and that you are looking into non-linearity, your vibrations are all aligned to these particular forms of quote-unquote incarnations that exist in other dimensions and other realities, that are all stationed here in that way, through that of what is known as the now nexus. But if we were to condense our understandings relating to what you understand as linear-based space and time, that when you expire from the physical body, you therefore retire from it and return back into the astral planes. The astral planes, in that sense, are all based upon the idea of the diminutiveness as it pertains to your own state of being, leaving that previous lifetime. Basically, what we are saying is that when you decide to leave the physical body and return back into the astral realms, you basically represent a different density of being. This is again what you would know as death transformation in that way. Everything that you take with you, you still experience in some way through those astral planes. Now, those particular astral planes are attempting to show you what you are still holding on to. For example, we may have an individual who is very heavily involved with dramatic cycles, and that those dramas, those traumas, those conflicts will still represent some type of reality that astral being, that entity, will now experience. Well, Adronis, how long do they experience it for? That is indeterminate. It all depends primarily relating to what the person is willing to value as the result of their own dramatic states, their own emotional conflicts. This can be something that in linear time fashion could be decades, could be centuries, could be many millennia. It all just depends in regards to what the person, what the being, what the entity is still holding on to, based upon that aspect. Because understand that when you incarnate upon a planet, there are vibratory signatures that are meant to be in alignment with an astral being, so that astral being, that entity, can therefore funnel themselves through the condensing of the physical plane and therefore become to incarnate. So basically you could say that there are vibratory ground rules when you are operating on board a planet. A planet itself, like a ship, has certain forms of regulations in regards to vibratory frequency levels. And if those vibratory frequencies are not met, that particular entity cannot incarnate upon that planet based upon, shall we say, that type of jurisdiction. So the whole idea in that sense that if a person, a being, an entity, would like to once again incarnate upon the earth, but they have felt that they have been so heavy in the aspect of emotions, they would need to go through the astral planes and work together through an immense healing regimen. And that healing regimen itself would be to assist the astral being in helping to release much of the emotional weight that they're still putting themselves through. Once that has been achieved, then they will be able to move into different degrees of alignment that may be representative of them being able to incarnate again. Now, this also has to do with the degree of relationships that are held in, shall we say, that degree of lifetime that perhaps this entity would again be able to experience in a different fashion, in a different version. So basically, a grace period can be anywhere from several weeks to many years. It all just depends, again, upon the entity themselves. And that through the idea of the karmic situations that they have aligned to, and being able to, again, shed off some emotional weight and are therefore compatible to return back into the earth plane, for example, they would therefore reorient themselves into another body. Yes, that would indeed take place. But everything in regards to the idea of the energies that represent other people within their own inner circles, that they are still attempting to work together with karmically, would also be assigned in that particular way. Now, sometimes the proximity of those energies can, in that sense, take some time if we're looking at this linearly, because understand that those, in that sense, that served an importance to this person's inner circle in another lifetime will therefore live out their lives, will therefore expire from the physical body, will therefore move up into the astral planes, and will therefore, in that sense, be able to work together in other particular lifetimes with such an individual as this that is contained within their inner circles. So through the idea of the inner circle relationship, it is all synchronistically organized. It is all based upon a certain state of alignment. It is, again, routine clockwork in that sense, through the scaling of synchronicity that therefore allows this aspect, this open window of opportunity, to come together once again when that entity decides to, yes, incarnate again on the planet Earth. But through the grace periods, again, is all part and parcel of the entity themselves, to determine exactly their alignments as it represents the drama, the conflict, the trauma they hold on to. Now, when you are in these particular forms of planes, there are spiritual communities. There are cities that actually exist and share the same space in different astral realms that are located, shall we say, very closely to your own human cities. There are also cities that are, again, function together with the communion of astral beings that exist within your skies. There are also those that exist within the orbit of your Earth. There are also those that exist in the northern and southern poles as it pertains to astral, spiritual-based communities, again, that hold associations to that of Argatha. You would basically see all of these particular types of communities that exist in the astral realms as spheres that are governing the energies in regards to the appropriate levels of consciousness deemed appropriate through the earth. This is basically what we talk about as prisms that are, again, helping to siphon the energies. We are not just talking about what you would know as the sphere beings or the guardians in that particular way. That's one particular aspect, but that's not really what we're talking about when we are talking about spheres or prisms as it relates to the earth energy. There are spheres, these particular prisms, that guard all throughout the energies of your physical and astral planes. And they are basically buffering the energies appropriately for your world to, shall we say, become entrenched appropriately with the energies that are coming into your star system at this particular time. They also work together very diligently with your sun. So we are not just referring to what you would know as physicalized beings, or beings in that sense that can be identified extraterrestrially. They, again, do hold certain types of administration in the star system, but it is mainly these astral communities that you are able to see when you pass away from the body, and that you can visit them at any particular time based upon the variance of your vibration. Because, again, they operate in different streams of consciousness as it relates to the inhabitants of those particular degrees of community stations or spheres or prisms in that way. But yes, they exist within your Earth. They exist upon the surface of the Earth. They exist within the atmosphere of the Earth. They exist within the orbit of the Earth. There are even other particular forms of spiritual communities that function around your moon, around Venus, around Mercury, around Mars, around the asteroid belt that was once Meldek. Much of the outer planets also have different degrees of spiritual communities. Your particular star system is enriched with many different communities that function within astral realms, that function together in this way. So when you actually pass away from the physical body, you may become inclined to visit many of them, because they have much to share, as they themselves are library keepers. They actually keep a great deal of knowledge that you are able to obtain as an astral being. And therefore, you can have some type of quote-unquote life throughout these communities. Based upon what you can learn as well, you can bring that with you through incarnation, based upon how you are strategizing, with the ability of you being able to choose a lifetime that in that sense can be much more appropriated to the purpose of you being able to advance yourself. And the reason why many of these beings, again, that incarnate upon this planet and feel they have a great deal of the spiritual knowledge is because they have done a great deal of education as well as it pertains to these spiritual communities, as it pertains to the prisms that exist throughout your star system and in other star systems as well. They have basically become these librarians, and they have been able to manually calibrate much of their intentions about what they want to bring forward in their lifetime. You would see it very much like a relationship. That in a relationship, you're not just randomly grabbing some person and saying, here, be my partner. No. You are looking for the aspects of qualities that you see within yourself and being able to notice this within your partner themselves and being able to see exactly how you tie things together divinely and harmoniously by getting to know yourself, by getting to know that person, by realizing exactly these are the types of qualities that you are interested in. The same thing goes in regards to appropriating your own incarnations, is that your own incarnations can actually be aligned specifically in regards to what it is that you are precisely looking for to achieve in regards to these incarnate states. Now again, there will still be the veil of free will that will take place. But because you've done a lot of your quote-unquote librarian homework, you're able to incarnate back onto these worlds, such as Earth, and being able to become very adept at mastery on spiritual, philosophical, on certain forms of, shall we say, business-related orientations, personal orientations. There are many different forms of aspects and avenues that can therefore become much more adept, that you are therefore bringing forward in this way. So, the idea is that utilizing these spiritual communities as these living libraries existing within the astral plane can be of a great benefit to many of you, as you discover much. For one, in that sense, that was once entrenched with heavy emotional burdens in that way, they have been able to heal much of that within the astral planes. They've been able to go to these type of communities and basically going through a harmonious rehabilitation. And this rehabilitation, again, brings them into a crystalline state of clarity. And now they are more than welcome to return back into the earth because they certainly meet all the vibratory standards as it relates to that planetary collective intent. So that is something that can also be done together. This can happen within the grace periods, and often does. So again, there are an infinite amount of possibilities about what happens to a being when they pass away from this planet. You have an infinitum as it relates to opportunities that await you, all based upon the vibratory nature that you place yourself into through that state of being, to allow yourself to explore during your grace period. But if you immediately want to return back into the earth, again, that is a grace period, because it is all based upon the idea of the type of lives that you therefore decide to choose, to therefore distinguish the appropriateness of returning back in regards to the complement of synchronicity and the cycles that allow the transformation and return of you functioning once again in a physical body. Again, it can be anywhere from several days, several weeks, to many years, all depending upon the entity themselves.